Support for this podcast comes from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative, connecting communities with the resources, infrastructure, and networks to ensure a vibrant local free press.
From KVPR in Fresno, this is Central Valley Daily. It's Thursday, August 21st. I'm Elizabeth Arkalian. A former Visalia police officer alleges the department tried to force him to take part in an illegal ticket quota system.
When he complained about this, he was told that he wasn't going to get any perks because he was refusing to participate in the scheme.
We'll learn more details in just a moment, but first, these headlines. The motto, "In God We Trust," will soon be displayed prominently in the chambers of the Fresno County Board of Supervisors. The board approved the new motto 4-1 this week. Members of the public voiced support and opposition for the display. The motion was introduced by Supervisor Gary Bredefeld. In 2017, he successfully introduced a similar measure for Fresno City Hall as a council member. The federal government is pulling back from long-held partnerships with nonprofits. KVPR's Carrie Klein breaks down some of the effects of funding cuts in the San Joaquin Valley.
3.4 million pounds of food. That's how much less a Bakersfield food bank had after federal funding shrank earlier this year. And in Visalia, Self-Help Enterprises is in danger of losing a federal grant next year. CEO Tom Collishaw says the money supports 19 employees and provides housing assistance to Valley residents.
That will affect who can apply for our housing opportunities, who can live in our housing, and going forward, who can aspire to live in that housing.
In 2023, Valley nonprofits received nearly $2 billion from all levels of government. More than half of those would be in the red if all that funding disappeared.
There's tremendous fear in the nonprofit sector on a number of levels.
Next year's federal budget is still being hashed out in Congress. For KVPR News, I'm Carrie Klein.
A clerical mistake led to a significant data error from Fresno Unified School District. EdSource reports that in a few staff reports years ago, Fresno Unified counted some of its teachers in the wrong category. When the error was fixed in later reports, it looked like the school district had hired significantly more teachers than it really had. The exact scale of the error is unclear. A Fresno Unified spokesperson told EdSource it no longer has the original data. California legislators are considering a bill that would enshrine federal Clean Water Act protections into state law. Cap Radio's Manola Cicada has more.
A 2023 Supreme Court decision narrowed the scope of the Federal Clean Water Act. That meant some areas, including previously covered wetlands, lost protections. This bill, the Right to Clean Water Act, would bring those protections back. Advocates say it would also safeguard California waters from any other federal rollbacks or weakened protections. Sean Bothwell is the executive director of the California Coastkeeper Alliance.
Our state law does not hold folks accountable. It does not require monitoring to know who's polluting and who's not. The Clean Water Act does, and so it's important that we maintain those standards.
He says the bill is especially important given the Trump administration's expressed intention to further roll back Clean Water Act protections. In Sacramento, I'm Manola Cicada.
A new program in Fresno aims to help prisoners successfully re-enter the community after their release. The California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation will offer resources to prisoners with less than 2 years left on their sentences. That includes substance use disorder treatment, employment readiness, and family reunification support. The reentry program has been available in other cities. It's designed to reduce rearrest and reconviction rates.
There are only a couple of weeks before we pick the winner of KVPR's $10,000 drawing. Tuesday, September 2nd is the last day you can purchase a ticket that could nab you the big money, a 2-night stay in Pismo Beach, or $250 to restaurants in your community. Visit kvpr.org/10K today.
And now to our main story. If you've ever gotten a ticket while driving, you probably know that sinking feeling when the police lights are behind you and you have to pull over, especially if it's for a minor infraction like a brake light being out. Sometimes officers will let you off with a reminder or a fix-it ticket. Now, imagine if you got pulled over and stuck with a fine because the officer was told to issue more tickets, no matter how minor the violation. That would feel pretty unfair, right? Well, one officer in the Visalia Police Department has sued the city, claiming that local police have to give citations because of an alleged quota system at the department. Now, to be clear, ticket quotas are illegal in California. In the lawsuit, Officer Daniel Huard says he and another officer were retaliated against when they refused to participate. It's worth noting that Huard has been with the department for 5 years before this issue first arose in 2024. And prior to that, he was with the Fresno Police Department, also without any known behavioral issues. Huard names 5 high-ranking officers in the lawsuit, including the chief of police, whom he says tried to force cops to meet ticket quotas. The suit alleges that tickets were used as a way to measure how hard officers were working. Dave Adalian is a reporter for the Valley Voice, which is a news outlet in Tulare County. He reviewed the court documents of this case and is continuing to follow it. He joined me for a conversation. This lawsuit accuses the Visalia Police Department of having a traffic citation quota system. So can you just sort of explain exactly what that means?
Well, that would mean that the officers who are in charge of enforcing traffic law in the city have been told by their superiors that they have to write so many tickets per day.
Okay. And to be clear, a police department having a quota system is illegal, right?
It is absolutely illegal. It is illegal. It's been prohibited by the California Vehicle Code for decades.
Okay. Now, a former Visalia police officer, Donald Huard, is alleging that while he was an officer, he was forced to meet a certain ticket quota. So what exactly is he alleging in this new lawsuit that he's brought forward?
He is alleging that he objected to the ticket quota system he says is in place, and that when that happened, there was a change in the behavior of his supervisors when he refused to comply with their desire, when he objected.
And he's alleging that this quota system went into effect in January 2024?
That's right. That's according to him. It was January of 24, and so we're looking at about a year and a half before it made it to the court system. So I assume there was some attempt to resolve this internally. Before you can sue a municipality, you have to make a complaint to the city council, which they then reject.
Okay. So do you know specifically what he's alleging he was asked to do?
He was asked to make at least 5 stops for traffic violations during his shift. And during each of those traffic stops, he was to write 2 tickets. And they had a name for that according to the lawsuit. It was double tap.
Okay. Now, Huard is alleging that he was retaliated against because he spoke up about this alleged quota system. What examples does he cite for retaliation? And did he point to anyone specific that's behind this?
He did point to specific people. First of all, his direct supervisor, which would be Sergeant Henry Martinez. And what he alleges there is that he was passed over for overtime jobs he should have gotten based on seniority. And when he and apparently another officer complained about this, he was told that he wasn't going to get any perks because he was refusing to participate in the scheme to write X amount of tickets a day. The alleged scheme. Let's be very clear about this. I have no information beyond what he's alleging. I have no proof that it's true or false.
And perhaps you could share your reporting process, which probably involved going through the legal documents that he filed, right?
It did. And I contacted the city, and I contacted, or attempted rather, to contact Huard's attorneys. I was unsuccessful. They apparently don't answer any one of the 4 or 5 phone numbers that they've got. They claim to represent unions of police and firefighters in Los Angeles. But the city immediately got back to me. In fact, I got an email directly from Leslie Caviglia, who is the city manager. And essentially what it said was, we do not comment on ongoing litigation, which is standard policy for all municipalities I've ever dealt with.
Interestingly enough, one of the officers that Donald Huard is accusing of retaliation is Captain Zuma Zaid Fahum. And just in May, she was arrested for charges unrelated to this case. Can you shed some light on what she's accused of doing?
Yeah, she was arrested for embezzlement of about $50,000 that she allegedly stole from the Police Athletic League. And during much of the time that she's alleged to have done this, it went on for 7 years, and that coincided with a series of lawsuits from creditors who were claiming that she was delinquent on payments. And we're not talking about small debts either. These are fairly substantial debts.
Is this common for local police departments to have this many issues? I mean, we've witnessed this in other city police departments across the valley, but these kind of accusations, circling back to the quota system accusations, those are pretty serious, right?
Those are very serious. Other municipalities have dealt with this. The city of Whittier, I believe, they were hit. These are all multi-million-dollar findings for the officers who blew the whistle. The city of Los Angeles was hit with one of these. I think there are 3 recent examples that you can look at in the press. And so it's an extremely serious accusation that if the city is found to have allowed this to operate, they could be on the hook for millions of dollars if the pattern follows. And that's no guarantee that that's what will happen.
So when will this case be headed to trial?
To trial, that'll be a long time off. There is a hearing, but it's just to confirm parties. It's what they call a calendar hearing. And so that'll set future dates, and that'll happen in October of this year.
Dave Adalian, reporter for the Valley Voice. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
And again, the city of Visalia has denied allegations of a ticket quota system being used at the police department. The city filed a formal answer to the complaint defending the police department's conduct. They also said Huard's claims for relief are exempt because of his own, quote, unclean hands. The city is requesting that its costs for attorneys and legal fees be covered. And that is today's show. Today's episode was produced by Jonathan Linden and KVPR with support from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative. I'm Elizabeth Arkalian. You can find the latest local news anytime at kvpr.org.
These days, there's so much news, it can be hard to keep up with what it all means for you, your family, and your community. The Consider This podcast from NPR features our award-winning journalism. 6 days a week, we bring you a deep dive on a news story and provide the context and analysis that helps you make sense of the news. We get behind the headlines. We get to the truth. Listen to the Consider This podcast from NPR.